You think you know the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, right? But what happens when you drop that classic fairy tale right into our cynical, hyper-connected modern world? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore in this retelling.
Our story kicks off with a scene that, let's be honest, might feel a little too real. You've got a poor widow and her son Jack, and they're arguing. But this isn't your grandma's fairy tale fight. Oh no, his mom's problem with him is straight out of the 21st century.
And Jack's excuse? It's just perfect. He's like, Mom, I'm not just on Facebook. He's diversifying his procrastination portfolio. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, you name it. It's a whole multi-platform strategy. And right there, boom, you get the satirical vibe for this whole story.
Okay, so this brings us to the real problem. They're broke. No money coming in. And Jack's mom lays down the law with a brutal ultimatum. Either he sells their cow or they're selling his Mac. And for Jack, well, the choice is a no-brainer. The Mac has got to be saved at all costs.
So Jack, being the good son he sometimes is, heads off to the market with the family cow. But on the way, he runs into this guy. And this guy makes him an offer. A really, really weird offer. One that's about to turn everything upside down. So what's the deal on the table? Is it cash? Nope, not even close. The guy offers him 5. That's right, 5 magic beans for the cow. And Jack? He thinks this is the deal of a lifetime. An absolute steal.
And this is the best part. The irony is just delicious. As they walk away from each other, both Jack and the mystery man are thinking the exact same thing. What a sucker. They both think they've just pulled off the greatest scam ever. It really makes you wonder, who actually won that trade?
So as you can probably guess, when Jack gets home and shows his mom the profits, she is not happy. I mean, she goes nuclear, calls him a bonehead, which, fair enough, and just yeets his precious investment right out the window. Classic mom reaction to a really, really bad deal.
But okay, here's where this version of the story takes a sharp turn into the 21st century. Jack doesn't just sit there and mope. Nope. He does what any of us would do when we're confused and need validation. He goes online. He hits up a chat room, and his internet buddies don't just tell him they're there. They actually give him some solid and kind of weird advice.
Yeah, so his new online friend lays out this plan. And it sounds less like Once Upon a Time and more like something out of a high-tech gardening forum. He's told to find the beans, get them in some moist soil, and, get this, put them under grow lamps. Simple enough, right?
And what do you know? It actually works. Like, really works. The next morning, one of those beans has exploded into this massive beanstalk that just shoots up past the clouds, past the stratosphere probably. And you gotta love Jack's thinking here. He's just glad he got 5 beans, since apparently only one of them was the real deal. A 20% success rate? Not bad.
Okay, so Jack, being Jack, sees a giant beanstalk and thinks, yep, I'm climbing that. He gets to the top, finds a huge castle, and sneaks inside. He runs into the giant's wife and tells her he's starving, like eat a whole cow starving. And she's actually really kind. She gives him some bread and stew. So far, so good.
But then the ground starts to shake. The giant is home. And this guy is massive. Scars all over his face, one cloudy, messed up eye. Just terrifying. Jack dives for cover, just as the giant lets out that classic line, fee-fi, fo-fum, and his voice literally shakes the whole castle. Yikes!
So the giant wolf's down his dinner, totally clueless that he has a little visitor. And then he heads off to his room for a little post-dinner relaxation. And his hobbies, well, they're an interesting mix. A little bit of classic fairy tale, and a little bit of, well, modern life.
First up, he does exactly what you'd expect a giant to do. He starts counting huge bags of gold coins. Classic. But then he fires up his computer to check his stock portfolio. I'm not kidding. It's this hilarious, totally absurd image of a mythical giant worrying about his digital assets.
So eventually the giant passes out, probably from all that financial stress. And that's Jack's cue. He sneaks out, snags a bag of gold, and scrambles back down the beanstalk. He gets home, shows his mom the gold, and suddenly, he's the hero of the family. Funny how that works, right?
But, you know, a bag of gold doesn't last forever. So about a week goes by, and Jack, feeling pretty bold after his first success, decides, hey, why not go again? And up the beanstalk he goes for round 2.
And the whole scene pretty much repeats itself. Jack hides, the giant comes in, starts up with the fee-fee-fo-fum, but this time his wife is just over it. She basically tells him to knock it off, that he's just imagining things. You can just feel the eye roll in her voice. After dinner, though, the giant brings out the main event, his real treasure. It's a goose. And he just yells, "Lay at it," and bam, it pops out this massive, solid gold egg. We're talking the size of 3 regular eggs. So that's where all the money comes from. So once again, the giant dozes off, and Jack has a big decision to make. He could just grab that huge golden egg on the table. That's the easy score. But Jack's thinking bigger. He makes the smart move. Don't take the product, take the factory. He decides he's stealing the goose.
Somehow, Jack makes it back down the beanstalk with a very confused goose. He explains the whole incredible situation to his mom, builds a nice little pen for their new feathered ATM, and goes to sleep dreaming about being rich forever. But his mom has a very different idea of what to do with a goose.
So the next morning, Jack wakes up absolutely buzzing. He runs to the kitchen, ready to see their first golden egg, ready to start their new life. But as he gets closer, something's not right. The vibe is off. Something is very, very wrong.
And the scene he walks into is just a nightmare. First, there's this weird smell in the air. Then he sees it, a can, full of goose feathers. And right next to it, bloody knives. And in that moment, it all clicks into place. The horrible, horrible truth.
He just turns to his mom, completely in shock. "Mother, how could you?" I mean, think about it. He handed her the winning lottery ticket for life, the solution to everything, and she did this.
And her answer? It's not an apology. It's just chillingly logical. She says she knew the gold coins didn't really come from a goose. Whoever heard of geese laying golden eggs? In her mind, the whole story was just impossible. Magic isn't real. So she did the only practical thing she could think of with a fat goose.
And that's where the story ends. Jack sitting down to dinner, eating the goose that was supposed to make them rich forever. And it leaves you with this really unsettling question, right? You've got a giant who honestly just minds his own business. You've got Jack, who's a thief. And you've got this mom who is so practical, she's ruthless. So in this version of the story, who's the real monster?